Okay guys, back to another tutorial. This time I'm gonna just follow the programming tutorial given in page 95 of chapter 2, the color game application. Basically this project is, or this solution is that of something used to teach Spanish names for 9 different colors. How the thing would look like at the end is given in figures 230, 31. 31 shows how your form should look like after you're done with it. 31, 32, 232 shows like the splash screen and stuff like that. But before that, we need to, identify what is the TOE chart, like what buttons, what objects we need, what they do, what's their purpose, what kind of events we wish to have, stuff like that. And that's given in 230 in page 95. So let's start executing our project. Now, about this solution or about this tutorial, this is not a project which we do from scratch. This is, I mean, most of the half of the things are already done, and we'll open the project itself. And I mean, you should have something called this in all your data package or the data files you got. So something called color game solution with this file should already be there. You open it, and if you click the mainform.vb, something like this would pop up. You see different buttons: start over, print, font, exit. I mean, we'll basically do all the codes for most of these buttons. What they have already done is that they have kind of set a design here, but we'll again modify this design for our own purposes. Now the first step is to add a table to this, and in that table we'll put all these buttons right here. So how to do that? Well, if you go to your toolbox, and there will be a section called containers, in which there will be a table layout panel. So click and drag it and place it somewhere here. Now you'll see that this table only has 2 rows and 2 columns. The book asks us to add a row and add a column. So make it a 3 by 3 or 3 row 3 column table. So add a column, add a row. And that's now how it looks. Now you see that the cells here, I mean, each of this is a cell. The cells here are not evenly spaced, right? So we need to do that to make it look nice. And how to do that? So go here, basically kind of the editor menu of the table, go to edit rows and columns, and so here the percentage value of how much space these two are taking, and this is basically taking nothing. 20 pixel is very small. So what we need to do is make all the columns first evenly spaced. So so how to do that? So click one, press shift and keep on pressing shift, and click the others, and go to percent and make everything 33.33. So that's basically 1/3. So if you press OK, you'll see the columns are now evenly spaced. So we need to do that for the rows too. So go back here again, go to rows, and do the same thing. Press OK. So now you see they are evenly spaced. And now what we need to do is get rid of this dashed border, because I mean, it doesn't look nice. And so go to the border style or cell border style property of the table. Once you click on it, have all this selected, cell border style, and then go to outset double, and it looks something like this, which basically the book wants it to look like. And now what it says is that you need to make this table larger. So once you have this table selected like this, go to the size property, should be at the end if you have the alphabetical layout, and this should be changed to 347, 200. Okay, now much bigger. Now we need to put all the buttons in here. So just click button and drag it and place it here. You see this is going to the top left of this cell. Now if I want to like make it evenly spread out across the cell, I mean with it selected, I go to the anchor property and select the drop down box, and so this means top left. So if I click all the remaining ones which are now white, it should be evenly spread out now. Nice, huh? So if you want to do this for all of these, all of the rest buttons, like click and drag in here, so I'm gonna do that first. Click and drag and place and place and place and place and place and place and place. Now if I want to do, you know, this thing for all the cells in this table, what I can do is select the whole table like this, go to its anchor property, and then make this evenly spread out. Okay, so obviously that did not work. I was wrong. So what I can do is click here and basically after clicking one, hold shift and click the rest, and then do the same thing. Anchor property, okay, see, now it works. And now we need to reposition this table, so select the table and go to location and reposition it to 41, 95. Yep, that's what the book wants. Now the book wants us to change the tab index of this table. So how to do that? So go to view and then tab order, and you'll see a weird thing like weird tab index like this. So let's let's reset it to how the book wants it to be. So 0, 1, 2, 3, somehow it does not become 4, but that's okay. Yeah, well, we leave it at 14. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this doesn't really matter. So that's our tab index, and now we can hit escape to get out of that. And so now we need to include the font dialog. I mean now we need to basically actually make the font, print, and all that buttons, all those buttons useful. So to do that, we need to put some dialogues in our form. First one is the font dialog here. All these should be in the dialog section. So click it, drag it, and place it here. And rename it to capital F font, small f font, and dialog. And for the print form, we need to go to Visual Basic Power Packs and click and drag the print form here, and again rename it. Okay, so and it's asked to save the solution, so let's save it. And now we need to code these buttons. How? Such that when we click on each of these buttons, their color would change to their respective color. So how to do that? First, let's go to the code menu and see what code's up there. The only code which is up there right now is the exit button code, which is just me.close. Now let's open or start writing the code for this blue button, and when we click it, what should happen is that it should turn blue. So after selecting it and using the click event procedure, I'm gonna write this code which the book asked me to write. Blue button dot back color equals color light blue. That's basically the code. And we have to do the same thing for all the remaining 8 color buttons. So I'm gonna keep doing the same thing. What I'm gonna do is copy paste this and change or modify this. So this is for the brown. So brown button back color is equals to brown. No, brown gray. So obviously this is the boring part of this tutorial. You just have to write the same code, same exact code for the different colors. Now make sure to follow which colors to use, because some are just plain blue, green, purple or pink, but you see some are different, like light blue, which we already did. There should be medium purple. Those are the only two where actually put the shade of the color. Green and orange again should be plain orange. So the good thing about this tutorial is that the buttons and all that stuff, the names have already been defined, so you didn't have to go and put orange button and all that names in the project itself. But if you're doing your own project, if you're making it from scratch, then you will have to do that. Anyways, thank God. Pink button color dot pink. Getting there. Pink, purple. Remember, this is medium purple. Purple. final color yellow. uh, okay, now that we have done, we should save it so that we don't lose anything. Now, besides the color appearing, when you press the button, the button name should change to its Spanish name, and there should be a old guy saying the name of the color in English and Spanish to help you remember. And we have to do the code for all those things. So how to do that? I mean, it's given. Um, Basically, for changing the name of the button is something like this. So I mean, its name blue button and then dot text. So the text in blue button should be now called in quotes or double quotes azul, which is the Spanish name for it. And now there's a kind of self-explanatory code for the the playing of an audio file. Sorry, not like that. So it's my computer dot audio dot play. So this says that whichever folder we are working on, play the audio file which has this file name blue.wav. Now if you actually go to the folder where all this has been saved, you'll see so if you go to the bin debug of your project file or a project folder, you'll see all these audio files, and if they are not there, they should be there. But if suppose your project, for your any other project, you want to do something like this, like put audio files or audio in your application, you need to put those files in your project's bin debug folder. Alright, bin debug. Here, right here, you want to put all your audio, video, whatever you want to like play. So yeah, so that's the code, and let's run this program and see what's happening. So I mean I coded for all the colors, so you see the colors change, but for the blue,
azul.
so if you have everything right, then you see the name changes to azul, which is the Spanish for blue. And I mean, in my headphone I heard the old guy speaking in both languages, and hopefully if everything goes right for you, that will be the same for you. So again, I'm copy pasting these two lines of codes and changing this blue to brown, naming this brown is marron, and this should be brown again. Hmm. Okay, this is grease, this is gray, gray. At this point I want to mention that when you code, half of the time you're just repeating stuff like this. So I mean, you might write long lines of codes, but repetition is very common in coding. So like it might be like your actual original line of coding is like 10 lines, but you have repeated that like 50 times, make you 500 lines of code. And that's very common in again, it's very common in coding, saying the same thing over and over again. So you have to have the patience to you know, make sure everything's perfect, stuff like that. Okay, Anarando orange. Think I'm halfway there. Pink. Rosa. Okay, so all the 3 lines of code are now done. And so if I test it, I mean,
red, rojo, brown, marrón, purple, morado, orange, anaranjado.
yep, so everything's working pitch perfectly for now. Okay, now what about the other buttons? What about the start over button? So for start over, what will happen is that, I mean, whatever you clicked has been gone, so it's like a reset button. So Spanish names will again go back to English, and the button colors would be white. So how to code the start over button? So where is it? Start over button, click. So when you start over, all the buttons color should be white again. And I mean, it's a code such as this. So suppose blue button dot back color, or the background color, meaning that the background color of the blue button should now be the color white. Make sense? So again, blue button dot back color, meaning that set the background color of blue button to the color white. Now copy paste, make this the next button, which should be brown. Everything should be white so the right part stays the same. Gray, green, no, orange, hmm. Yeah, so now every color should go back to white when I hit the start over.
Red, brown, marron,
See, it now goes back to white.
pink, rosa,
Now what you can do is you can also, I mean, it's not given in the book, but you can also, when you hit the start over button, you can also make the text in the button go from the Spanish text to the English text, right? So to do that, I mean, what you have to do is, for again, each button you have to say the text in that button should now be the English version. So yeah, so blue button text should be now blue, right?
blue, azul,
And I start over and it should be blue again, right? So I mean, similarly, brown button dot text goes to brown. Hmm. Okay, now pink button dot text equals to pink. Purple button dot text purple. button dot text to red, yellow button. Alright. So now, besides turning white,
red,
um,
brown, green, orange,
when you hit
anaranjado,
start over, all those colors also, or all those buttons go back to their English names. Now, what about the print button? So when you want to print it, hit using this button, you have to write a certain form of code. So for the print button, when you click it, then I mean the code is already given. So the now you see in the book it says print form 1 dot print action equals to whatever. So it's not print form 1 with the capital P. I mean, if you did it like me, it should be small p print form, no 1. So meaning that the print form, the action in the print form should be printing dot print action dot print to preview. So basically this brings up your, this line of code brings up your print to print preview menu. I mean, this is just a 2-line code which gives you the print preview dialog. So print, this is your print preview, and you can hit print here and it will go. So it's a good idea to remember this line of code. It's kind of complicated, but I mean, if you remember it, that's good enough. Now, how to do the font dialog thing? We already have the font dialog here. So when we click the font button, there is your font button. When we click it, we want to open up the font dialog so that we can change the font of the form itself. So the 3 lines of code needed here is given. Now I'm going to explain what's going on. So font dialog dot font equals to me dot font. So here me is your form. So what's happening here is that font dialog dot font, meaning it's assigning its font property to whatever is the font in the form, which is me dot font. So me dot font means that the font of the form is being stored in the font property of the font dialog. And now you ask to show the font dialog using this show what font dialog show dialog. Yeah, so using this line of code you will open up your font dialog and you will make your changes, and then what will happen is that once you hit OK, me.font, or the font of your form, should change to font dialog.font. So once you're done with your font changes, when you hit OK, whatever setting was given in font dialog.font should be stored as the font of the form itself. Now for dialogs, I mean, if suppose instead of changing the whole forms font. You only wanted to change, like, this buttons font, or this label, or this, I mean, all these buttons form, or any um any other font, like not the whole thing. Suppose you only wanted to change the red buttons font when you click it. So what you would have done, instead of using me.font, you would have changed it to red button dot font, and this should have been red button dot font instead of me dot font. And in that case, it will be changing the only specific button or object you want the thing to change. So let's see here. So font, open up the font dialog, and I change this to Sego U Bold 14. The whole thing changes. Now if I just change it to, suppose, red button dot font, make sure to change it here and also here, otherwise it won't work. So let's see. See, only the red button changed. So let's undo this change. Yep. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's do the splash screen thingy. So to do that, we need to go to project and add new item, splash screen. Yeah, so to change the name from application title to no, change this name from splash screen 1 to splash screen form.vb, and to change this label, or not, or set its font to Sego UI 18 point. Okay, not too much change. And change this to Sego UI 9. Not sure if why Microsoft likes Sego. I personally prefer Times New Roman, but everyone have their own priorities or tastes. So I mean, then we have to make sure that this splash screen happens when it's supposed to happen, like at the beginning of the form. So to do that, we have to go to my project, right click, open it, to open the project design window, then go here in the splash screen and select the splash screen we just designed. Also change the assembly name to just color game instead of color game project, and I think everything else is fine. Okay, asks us to hit OK, which frankly I don't know where is OK, but I'm just gonna close this. Make sure that the changes have been saved. Yeah, they have been saved, so no worries there. So I mean that's basically it. You started, you'll see this splash screen, and then
red, brown, pink, orange, gray, purple, yellow, blue, green,
start over,
verde,
font, print, and exit. Whoa. Okay, one thing which I kind of forgot to do is that this thing should not be able to be maximized. So to do that, you go to the main form and change its maximize box property to false. Ah, this is not maximize. This is maximize. So that you can't maximize this box whenever, like never. And lock the controls and start it. So now you can see the maximize option. And that's basically it, guys. Hope you liked the tutorial. Hope it wasn't too boring, and hope it helps in your assignment.